we know they were the best because then in 2016, one of our architects, it's a joint venture, it's called, between a group in Seattle, LMN, and a group in San Francisco, Tom Elliott Fish. The LMN company in 2016 was voted by all the other architects in the nation as the #1 architectural firm in the nation. So it was, I think, well worth our effort. We went out and searched through, I think it was 37 different venues. I personally went to 50 different venues, researching what would be the best and who would be the best team. So we don't want to lose all that. Spent a long time so that this would be an iconic building, which San Francisco deserves because we're an iconic city, and this is an iconic college.
That's right.
Okay.
This wonderful letter from John Adams, a luminary, certainly, and a great supporter of music in San Francisco. I want to just say a couple of quick things. There's some. First of all, there are two omens that I want you to take note of. One was that the Chancellor, our current Chancellor, Dr. Rocha, has signaled that where we have wanted since time immemorial, we wanted this to be built. Yes, it's going to be built there, he says. Now, we've heard this before, mind you, but we're going to take him at his word. And we're going to keep pushing. And we're going to keep our eyes on the prize and make sure that it is, whenever it is going to be, it's going to be there and appropriately as designed by Doug Tom. This is a fantastic thing. I've been a member of the faculty since about 20 years, and very happy and proud to be here. So I remember the 2001 and 2005 bond issues, and I wonder where that money went. I just don't know. But so this is part of what we are doing here politically, what all of my friends who are going to be up here on the panel and all of you perhaps are talking about, and a lot of you know something about this already. Anyway, the two omens that I want to mention, I did mention about Dr. Rocha, that's one. The other is the royal wedding. Did any of you spend any time with the royal wedding? It sounds silly. I think it was very important. I think it was very profound. A meeting of the new world and the old world, and it was very moving to me to see all of these African-American cultural markers embedded in the wedding ceremony in the heart of merry old England, which was the heart of the slave trade up until at least 1808 when we took it over. And in any event, Meghan Markle is one of us. She has a background, professional background as an actress, and studied international relations at Northwestern. Very bright, really a gifted person, and you know, she's diverse. She's very generous, and you know, I think all the right things were signaled there. So I see that as an omen, and that's like maybe signals the beginning of something for us. Who knows? I want to read this from John Adams, who is very well known. He is one of the most prominent American composers of the last, 50 years, something like that. Bay Area native, and he went to San Francisco State and the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. Several of my colleagues on the faculty attended the conservatory with John, and he has, so we have a personal connection, and he has been very supportive of music at City College for many years. So he wrote this originally in 2015 to the late Mayor Lee, along with the Board of Supervisors and the trustees of City College of San Francisco. I will read. I write in support of City College of San Francisco's Performing Arts Education Center, PAEC. The PAEC will be a major addition to San Francisco's famously varied cultural life. What, to my mind, makes its creation doubly important is that it will service the artistic activities and arts education, not of a narrow slice of the elite, quote unquote, but rather of a vast and broadband range of ethnic and economic demographic in the Bay Area. While San Francisco is home to a world-famous orchestra, opera, and ballet company, those institutions are richly endowed by the city's wealthiest corporations and donors. I know this because as a composer and conductor whose career has enjoyed decades of support from the generosity of these funders, I am fully aware that their audience, however intellectually keen and enthusiastic, is largely made up of the same demographic. We all know that despite the current controversies surrounding City College, and that remains to today, I should say, it remains absolutely essential, City College that is, remains absolutely essential as an affordable and accessible source of learning, skills acquisition, and cultural growth. The PAEC, already twice approved by San Francisco voters, should not fall prey to hectic political machinations or cynical budget maneuvering. The center will provide an immeasurable shot in the arm to our artistic and multicultural profile. To arbitrarily cancel its creation would be to foolishly misunderstand the importance of arts education in every citizen's life. And this is from John Adams, signed composer, conductor, and he won a Pulitzer Prize in Music, 2003. So.
I would like to introduce the instrument first. In Chinese, we call it guzheng. You can call it Chinese harp. Usually, it's 21 strings. For the mostly, it's about the pentatonic. So it's do, re, mi, sol, la, no. Yeah, we have the F and the B, but you know, it's a different way. So whatever you play, it sounds very good. We press the left side to change the pitch. So it's very different from the Western harp. For the Western harp, it's vertical. And for this one, it's a special thing is about the bridge things. Because this very different from the Western harp. And mostly we use the right side to play the melody. And the left side, you know, just a common part, or we do some very typical Chinese way, you know, to decorate the music. Yeah.
there. At some point. The man. And I would like to play this piece, Milonga. It's an early tango by Piazzolla, who's Argentinian.
I'm Michael Adams. I come to City College by coming to San Francisco in 1988 to take a job at University of California, San Francisco as the Director of Affirmative Action, Equal Opportunity, and Diversity, which I think blends pretty nicely into Lenny's opening remarks and what a performing arts and education center can mean in a deep community way. You all know that I hope we're all following the Board of Supervisors who are now embarking on a mission to preserve cultural sites. Have you seen this in the Chronicle and newspaper? Well, that's some really interesting timing because they're trying to save from gentrification the removal of cultural, not only places and spaces, but just sensibility of who we are as a diverse group of San Franciscans. I come from Omaha, Nebraska, and in past life I was a city planner and community organizer, and I had a little music side thing that kept me sane. Some of my instructors would laugh at my quality of, of performance, but I played piano and vibes. So I came here and I've studied guitar under Lenny, and I've studied and believe me, it's a study. And under Madeline's overall direction, piano and some flute, and currently cello. So music is really my first love, but I had to learn how to make a living in other ways. So kind of earmark that cultural district discussion that's going on at the Board of Supervisors, because there's an opportunity to blend in, we think. A couple of years ago, when was it, Madeline, we created this banner?
I think it was around 2013.
13 or so, you'll see Save City College of San Francisco, and we must have had a little bit of wisdom and foresight to put some of the issues here. You'll remember that the trustees had been decommissioned during the accreditation takeover, and Win-Win is here, has been a heavy organizer in that process, so raise your hand. And others, of course, who joined with her. But so I have a little ceremonial thing, but those were the issues: restoring the elected trustees, increasing student enrollment, advancing diversity, supporting the arts, and recovering the money. And you'll see in the red, build the Performing Arts Education Center now. Well, now is a relative term, isn't it? We really want now to be what most of us think now means, right? So I'm just interested in, as a panel member on this side of the table, really in what you all are thinking, including those who are just learning about this situation. How many of us are kind of new to trying to understand what's going on with the Performing Arts Education Center? Yes, some hands went up. Good. You're going to be our target for allowing questions so that we can enable everyone to be on the same page when we leave here. And please, if you haven't filled out a contact line on the sign-in sheet, this is going to be our way of staying in touch with you, because often we have meetings like this and then folks go back someplace and we lament, why didn't we get the names so we can stay in touch? So would you help us do that? And so as I pass it on, I'm going to hang up one check mark, and we really want to get used to this, this idea. So this was restoring the elected officials. The elected our position, I think, is all the rest of these don't yet deserve a check mark, but they're work in progress. Would that be right, Chris? Okay, so I'll pause now. Thank you for being here, and we'll be working together with you.
The idea of the history of what has gone on, and Tennessee keeps saying to me, write the history, and I keep writing it. And it's just the same. So what I did over the weekend, I looked into some of my 25 or so banker boxes, and the first 3 came up with a lot of history. So I will invite you to look into some of this. I won't have it out now, but it'll be available to you afterwards. You can come up, because I even had something from 2013 called The History of the PAC, but this years since, so we need to catch up. A lot of my writing seems to be from that point in time, because that's when the special trustee, or the trustee with extraordinary powers, the swept through City College and stopped this project. Swept, yes, I have other names. But anyway, Mr. Aguila did this very strange thing, I think, looking back. And so a lot of us really got organized at that point. But even before, of course, we were trying to get this project going. It's had a checkered history. Money goes, money comes. One of the histories does indicate that at one point, the money had kind of dried up from the state, and then one college from LA put money back in the hopper, and Senator Mark Leno at the time got that money back for the college, 38 for us, for the project, 38 million. So we were ready, we were shovel ready, we had the money, we had the plans. It was one board meeting away from starting. That was in 2012. And then we were taken over, and we've had 6 chancellors in 6 years. It was a little hard to get continuity going again, and especially when we found that there was some real problems with the state chancellor's office and well, you'll read about it. It gets quite juicy, actually. So that I invite you to take some home and enjoy. I must say, as I reread them over the weekend, I don't hold back. Yeah. And then another stack over here, there's the sort of history stack. And then there's the stack, and this was sort of in your homework too, of the 4 topics that are near and dear and ongoing right now. The Complete the PAC Now, The relationship to the Balboa Reservoir project, what you saw in the video, we were talking about that in 2015. The Keep Public Land in Public Hands, which is part of that reservation, and the Build the People's Auditorium. Now, those 4 items, there's each here one handout sheet I picked that would be quite appropriate for each of these topic areas. If you don't feel comfortable talking about them now, do your homework, take them home. There's of the, which is the one, well, the PAEC Now. There are 2 things that are very interesting about the PAEC Now and the People's Auditorium. You have what I wrote, Build the Auditorium, the People's Auditorium. And these are some of the reasons. But we based this on a board agenda when our board was brought back a year ago in March 9th, 2017. The board wrote a very good set of resolutions, whereas there's a lot of really informational ones, and essentially said, build the PAEC now. And they even went into doing it where we could take the 50 million that's still in the bond, the people's bonds money. The state took its 38 million back, but there was still 50 million in the local bond. And the Board of Trustees said, let's do it in phases, which you can see here very, I think, easily. If that doesn't look like phases, it looks like phases to me. And I know when we discussed this project from the get-go, the idea was to have a modular kind of plan, color-coded even. So part of the now is to take whatever money we can and at least show the public that we could get started. And I've asked the architect, Doug Tom, and he said, well, yeah, it's getting a little harder each year because it gets more expensive, but if you have the auditorium phase and then you could rent it out and start funding some of the other phases, it's not at all an impossibility. You can, without harming the design of the building or starting all over again, this was always somewhat in the plan, even way, way back in 2004 or 3 when we first hired them. This group was the possibility of that happening. So the board did agree with this and said to do so. The administration at the time, not the current ones, said, well, we don't have to pay attention to what the board says. I said, really? A resolution isn't policy. Really? It's not law. We don't have to do it. Now, they've all left. The one who said that was fired. So we're kind of back in business. This is interesting because these things kind of don't go away. Yeah, right. So anyway, I would invite you to read this. Pardon? Oh, yeah, okay, because I'm turning, I'm sorry. And then the other 2 is the relationship with the, what are these other 2 topics? Yes. The relationship to the Balboa Reservoir, which from 2016 I found a board resolution, which really has some very good things. It starts with the PAEC, almost starts with where our video left off, and goes into why the college really should have that land. And this is our Board of Trustees 2 years ago. Now, a year ago, they tabled something that was somewhat like this, but this to me is still there. They didn't deny it. So that's interesting reading. And then we have the public land in public hands, including some update with the pictures. I don't know if you've seen, sometimes you see pictures of the parking lot looks half empty. Well, you can also take pictures where it really looks full. So, I'll give you one of these. Chris, did you do that one? You did this one.
Yeah, that's the one about.
Huh?
What's so big apartment
Right. So she did that one, and Steve here, Brown, he did some update on this guy. So we have a group, including the folks at the table and others, that have been working on flyers, and we'll try to keep you updated on things. Okay, I think that's enough from me. And who am I? Well, I'm the chair of the music department. I started teaching at City College in 1965. And when I arrived, I said, where's the auditorium? because this is the only school I've seen that doesn't have an auditorium. The little theater seats 286 people. It's not an auditorium. It's a black box. It's meant to be a theater piece. There is nothing here for music people. And yet, in 1935, there was a design for an auditorium. And so I kept asking. Not only did I ask, but when I arrived, and I didn't start collecting papers until later, but for some reason in that year, I collected an article written in the Examiner, which was the major newspaper in town at the time, saying exactly that. Why doesn't City College have an auditorium? And that there is no really good auditorium for the people from downtown to San Mateo. There's this huge, vast wasteland for a really good, workable, medium-sized auditorium. We don't need to duplicate Davies or the Opera House. We've got that downtown, but people from our part of the world in this city have nothing. There's nothing comparable out there in the United States with that kind of nothing wasteland between downtown San Francisco and San Mateo. So this was being talked about in 1965. It was being written up in newspapers even then. Every chancellor who's come since then, because I guess I've been here for almost all of them, I've said, you know, what's the matter with you? And one of them actually said, well, we thought if they wanted music and drama, they'd go someplace else. I said, how about if they wanted math and English, they'd go someplace else? And then I got, well, we were wrong. And I said, well, then do something about it. So we keep working at it. And meanwhile, we have a wonderful music department with wonderful faculty and wonderful students, and we deserve better.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dashi Song. This is my second year to learn the music in CCSF. Yeah, it's really wonderful, you know, the teachers here. After I learned received the vocal training. After I received the vocal training for 1 year, I just realized, you know, my instructor, Dr. Lee Strong, he is so fabulous. I came here for 4 years. Everything is new, the language and the culture, everything. I was born in mainland China. So it's a big thing to live here. It's because, you know, language things, lots of things. Like, to me, I'm a foreigner. But San Francisco is so different. It's different from other, you know, other cities in America. You could see lots of Chinese people, you know, because it's so diversified. I was born in 1980, so right now I'm 38. And I live and work in Beijing for over 10 years. So most of 5 years ago, I came here, and I changed my... People like me, you know, in this age, almost close to 40, yeah, we would like to, you know, people would like to make more money and to live better, do something, you know, like other ordinary people. I totally understand that. But for me, I changed my mind. I would like to be a musician, you know, in the future. As you can see, I played the Chinese harp for many, many years, but I learned it by ear. It is kind of different things from the Western music. I learned the music by numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. You can put the dots, you know, beneath and or above the numbers. You know, when I first time see the Western notes, you know, oh, I feel so crazy. It's different. Yeah, you have to, you know, to learn everything from, you know, from the start. So it's a big challenge. But the good thing here is here the professors are so professional and they are so good, and they are so patient. I still remember my first music 4 teacher. His name is yeah, he's there. Harry Burstein, and when I heard the news, we will have a proposed performing arts building, that's a wonderful project. I think, for most of musicians, the singers, the pianists, or they know whatever perfect you practice, by yourself, is different from, when you do the performance in front of the people. I still remember the first time when I do the guzheng performance. Oh my goodness, it's almost, I think it's almost 15 years ago. I totally forgot everything. Yeah, I forgot everything. But I know if you stop there, everybody knows you are wrong, and you forget the music. But you have to keep going. So my teacher told me, use your finger, memorize the notes. Don't use your brain. Don't use your eyes. Use your finger to memorize, which string you have to, to pluck. So I remember that, her words, and I practiced and practiced. I used my finger to memorize the whole things. Even when you feel so nervous, on the stage, but you can still keep working. It's like the vocal part. When I do the practice by myself, it sounds so good. But when I, sing in front of people, oh my goodness, I forgot the rhythm. I forgot everything. But you have to keep counting. I know that. But when you are so nervous, you will make everything totally a mess. Yeah, we need more practice to make perfect.
Tell us where you have to practice.
Usually, it's the piano room, but I think it's only 7 or 10. Not, it's 7, yeah. And I will go to the parking side, yeah, because that space is so, yeah, nobody will bother you. And I just do the warm up there and do the practice over there. Sometimes I will do the practice at home, but because my, from the morning to the evening, I will have the whole day class. So I will, take time to practice over there.
Thank you. So my name is Steve Zeltzer, and I have a radio show called Work Week Radio on KPFA, and I was born in San Francisco, and I was after I graduated from high school, I came back to San Francisco to go to San Francisco State Strike with Thomasita, and we went on strike 50 years ago, 50th anniversary. And one of the demands was ethnic studies for people to learn about the history of their communities in this country and in this world, and also for open admissions, the right of all students to go to school without being charged. And at that time, I was only paying $72 a semester. And that is something that we have to fight for today, because a lot of students cannot afford to go to college. And I know that people have been fighting for City College to be free, but it is an outrage in this rich state, with a $9 billion surplus, that we have to charge students thousands and thousands of dollars to go to school. This is wrong. Every young person should have a right to go to college and go to school and not have to pay for it, because they will be contributing to our society. The young people. It's our future as a country and as a society to provide education for young people. So we had a strike, and a lot of us were arrested, but we were able to get the ethnic studies department, and at that time it wasn't a lot of money to go to college. But what's happened in 50 years with education? Education has been privatized. The budget has gone down percentage-wise for education in California. And you have a lot of administrators, a lot of trustees. Most of the trustees that run the University of California and Community College and the State University are business people, are corporate people. They're no labor representatives. on these boards. Yet it's working people who go to public college that they should have representatives on these boards. Now, what I believe, though, is what has happened is what is called privatization. And the ideology of privatization is that really we shouldn't have any public services. Everything should be privatized. And the market will take care of it, and privateers will decide what is valuable and what isn't valuable. And that's why in a lot of schools, public schools, high schools and grade schools, music is taken out. Culture is taken out. They say they just want STEM, just mathematics. But, you know, young people need music. They need art. That's how they express themselves, and that is mathematical, doing music and art. So we have to fight for music and art. So what is going on here in a microcosm is a struggle going on all over our country. It's not just about City College. It's about the right for a democratic education for young people, for free, to have a future, and to have all the cultural things that we need as a people and as a society. Now, their struggle, and I was looking at some struggles here in 1986 and 87 and 88, the people who wanted to privatize the land put on the ballot a measure to turn it over to housing. And 3 times it was turned down. 3 times. So this history of trying to privatize and develop the property for profit has been turned down 3 times. Now this time they're doing it without even putting a ballot measure on. They're just going ahead and doing it. And they have spent millions of dollars, the city and county of San Francisco, millions of dollars greasing the way for this developer, Avalon, even though the people in the community are against it. A lot of people are against it. They say we need housing. I agree. Working class people need housing because they're being driven from San Francisco. Fortunately, I was able to get a home. But most working people can't afford a house. You have to be a millionaire virtually to live in San Francisco. So I believe we need to protect public housing. And in fact, you know, Vienna had a housing crisis in 1919. And at that time, the Socialist and Communist Party took power and they said, we're going to solve this crisis of housing. So we're going to solve it by making the wealthy pay. And they built 200,000 public housing units in Vienna. That's how they solved the crisis. In San Francisco, you have over 35 billionaires. 35 billionaires in San Francisco. You have over 140 billionaires in California. They should be paying for public housing. They should be paying for public education. That's where the money is. They have the money and they should be paid. I mean, and this is something that we have to fight for and raise as an issue. Why do they want taxes from working people when you have so much wealth in this state and in this country? The people that have the money should pay for this. And I think that the unions are under attack as well. There's a Janus decision which would take away organizing rights. They want to basically eliminate unions to have what they call open shop state. They don't want unions, and they don't want workers the right to organize. And part of that is they want total control. They would like to go back to slavery. In fact, Trump and his people talk about the good days of the Confederacy. You know, that's what they believe. You know, those were good days for people, you know. So that's the mentality that we're dealing with. But, you know, the opposite of that is what's happening with the teachers in this country, because there's a rebellion, a spontaneous rebellion among teachers throughout the country in so-called red states, West Virginia, Kentucky, Arizona. These teachers have had enough, and they want their children to have a great education, like we want our students at City College to have a great education. You cannot have a great education without a great music center and a theater. That is a requirement for a great education, and it is a disgrace and a scandal that in San Francisco, at the Ocean campus, we don't have a theater, performing arts theater. That's a scandal. With all the wealth that we have in this city, that we don't have that. So we have to organize and let people know, let the public know that they're not going to get away with this. This is going to be built, and that land, the San Francisco Labor Council, AFT 2121, has said it should be transferred to public use. If housing is to be built, let the City College community decide about that housing, not some developer who only wants to build million-dollar condos for the wealthy on that land. That's really what they want. Their eyes are like glowing about how much money they can make by developing that land. That land should be for public use, and if it's going to be for housing, public housing for students, teachers, and staff, let the community here, City College, decide that. So On the way here, I noticed that there were the firefighters were having a ceremony, I think, for their graduates. And the culinary workers have students here. So we have to go out and reach these other students at City College and get them involved, get them to support this. This is about our future as a working people, as a working class, of young people, to have a future. And we have to get their unions involved, Local 2, the firefighters unions, all the unions, because this is not about just the music students. It's about all our futures, all our ability to develop our skills, our talents, our creativity. And music is a critical thing. And also, this facility, as Madeline said, will provide training opportunities for young people in the arts, in theater, to be trained. That is very important. I mean, culture and arts is a very important thing in San Francisco and in this country. And having a center like this will provide job training for young people to get the skills to be the artist, to go to work in these union jobs and get a good life, have a good profession. So that's another reason we have to build this facility. So the thing that I want to say is that we need education, because the developers, the billionaires who are pushing this have a lot of money, and they propagandize. Well, there's no money. This is what they're telling us now. And we've run out of money. In fact, they said we need another $220 million, I think, to build this Arts Center, and we have to get another bond of over $1 billion, $200 million, to complete all this project. Well, I say the money has already been appropriated. I mean, we are paying for it. Taxpayers are paying for it. Let's build this thing, and let's not basically rip off the taxpayers of San Francisco who've said that they want this theater. They want it, they have paid for it, and it needs to be built. And we have a mayoral election. Every one of you, call the candidate's office, all the candidates, and say, why haven't you taken a position? We've tried to get them to take a position to support PAEC, to say that the priority is to build PAEC now. They need to hear from people saying, you have to take a public position. You would think they'd be making all kinds of promises. This is an election year. Politicians make promises in election years. You know, so why can't they say, I stand with building PAEC, that's the priority for the people of San Francisco. So that's what I leave you with, and let's go forward, and we will win this, as, you know, we have to, because it's necessary for all of us, for our creativity, for our art, and for the students and future of San Francisco. Thank you.
I'm Tomasita Medal, and I'm the daughter of a beautiful couple who came here from Central America, from Nicaragua, and who sacrificed very much so that I could have a top-rate education here in San Francisco. And when I first came to City College, all I can say is that it's a city treasure, and that when I first came to City College, the mission statement included lifelong learning, which has since then been taken out. And what's so beautiful about those of us who are native San Franciscans and who grew up here, and what makes the city so beautiful is the contribution of all the people of all the different cultures that have come here. All I know is that here a person can become a full individual, here at City College, even more so than at State. All my life, you know, I admired this really, really great woman pianist named Rebecca Moleon. And, you know, when I finally retired, I was able to take her jazz piano class. I mean, the fact that we have a world-class pianist, and she's not the only member of the faculty, he's a world-class musician, but to be able to take jazz piano from Rebecca Moleon, it's just an amazing gift that I had aspired to my whole life. And finally, I had a chance to take her class for 3 semesters, but then the state of California limits a person in the music department for only being able to take a class 3 times. And as you know, music is one of those fields that is infinite, and a person could keep learning, and so there shouldn't be that limit. We have world-class faculty here, because this is the difference between City College and State College. Let me say, somewhere along the line, maybe on the way to my ethnic studies degree, my La Raza studies degree from San Francisco State, but somewhere along the line, I heard well, this is the way it works. The public university system in California was designed so that the Cal University of California was for the doctors and lawyers' kids, for the professionals' kids, so they could continue to be like the professionals. They could learn how to be doctors and lawyers. Then the state college system was designed for the white-collar workers' kids, and as teachers' college, so they could intellectualize, so they could learn to be teachers. So, for example, San Francisco State was established as a teachers' college to teach people how to be teachers. And then City College, the City College system is to teach people how to actually work in the profession of their choice. So most of the faculty, or a lot of the faculty at the City College or community college systems are people who are actually engaged and being paid to work in the field that they're teaching. They're not just intellectualizing about it. So for example, we have a fabulous film department over here at City College, and we took film from Dick Ham when we was the chairman of the department, and he was the chief photographer the cinematographer. He filmed MacArthur coming onto the shore, like that kind of history. That's the guy who was the chair of the film department when we took film here. Yes, it's true. I confess, being a lifelong learner means that I've been coming here for a long time, because it used to be you could just keep coming here until they started trying to put limits on that. So the PAC represents the spirit of San Francisco, because it will give a place for people to express their achievement in the arts. And so we need to get this PAC built soon, because we're the antidote to what has happened to San Francisco with people coming here who are people who graduated in STEM, who are coming here to be technicians in the, it used to be .com, now it's called tech industry, but they come here and they just have a different vibe. And, City College is an expression of the spirit of San Francisco, because not only is it, it does still hold on to the remnant of lifelong learning, but a person who comes here can take real estate or engineering, and music and dance and filmmaking and photography and all the other myriad things that are offered here, and come out a whole human being and a person who can earn a living but also enjoy their life because of what is offered here. So we need to celebrate that and build this auditorium. And it's true that the people of the southern part of the city, or this whole segment of the city, deserves to have a beautiful performance space as well. So it's about time. And I did want to talk about, we all know, or anybody who's from here at all knows that City College trustee position, it has been used, I always feel like these people are just trampling on our heads in their scramble for political advancement, for their personal careers. What does it take? I don't know. Maybe somebody here knows. What does it take to reach the heart of the trustees to where they would consider it their sacred duty to look out for the interests of the students and the people of not only of City College but of San Francisco? Why do they have to just, use this position as a trustee as a stepping stone in their career? And the one person who's most noticeable about that right now is suffering no consequences for having sold us out. He's running as a progressive. Nobody's challenging him as being a progressive, and yet he, over the past few years, made all kinds of backroom deals when Ed Lee was still alive, and when we would ask him about it, he would just say, he's taking care of it. And so then the trustees, when they had a chance to ask the Public Utilities Commission to not put the lower reservoir out for bid, but to transfer the land to City College, one trustee, John Rizzo, put out the resolution, and only one other trustee supported him at that time, and the other trustees refused to even consider the resolution, and they had to table that resolution. And those people are still allowed to be the trustees. When you're elected trustee of City College, that means the people put their trust in you to defend City College and the interests of City College. And our trustees have not been doing that. They have, why? And the question is, what happened? 2 years ago, the then Board of Trustees did pass a resolution saying, we want this Performing Arts Education Center built now. And yet something happened from 2 years ago to now, to where when the Public Utilities Commission announced that Ed Lee had told them to put this lower reservoir out for bid again, that they would refuse to support a resolution by John Rizzo that just said, could we ask the public utilities to talk to us about transferring the land, that lower reservoir, which has been an integral part of our campus for decades, to just talk to the trustees about doing what would it take to transfer that land to City College, and they refused to even support that resolution. So it's like my colleague Michael Adams was saying, this is City College is sacred. He could probably say it better than I, but what does it take? What does it take to tap into their higher power, their sense of sacred responsibility to support this college so that we can have our Performing Arts Education Center and that we fight to get this lower reservoir transferred to us so that it can be used for City College purposes, including house, not the whole lot, but 1/3 of the lot that's closest to Ocean Avenue for 100% affordable housing for faculty and staff and students who need it. What would it take? Does somebody have a brilliant idea? How do we touch the trustees so they fight for the interests of City College truly so that we can have these three things? The Performing Arts Education Center built first, immediately, and the land transferred to, the lower reservoir transferred to City College to be the owner of it, and for that land to be used for purposes that serve the community of City College. This is what we want, this is what should be, and whatever we can do, someone have a brilliant insight, let's do what it takes. We must somehow reach the trustees of City College so that they stop just using this as a stepping stone for their personal careers and that they do what is right and make this happen.